And at the inaugural Super Brawl, as we talked about 2 weeks ago now, you lost your television title to your real-life best friend, Bobby Eaton. That same evening, the Horsemen lost heavy that night. Sid Vicious, the big man, the heavy of the group, as we say, following his defeat to Elegante in that advertised stretcher match where no one got taken out on a stretcher. A lot of people in attendance, by the way, knew that Sid was leaving for the WWF, and they sang him out of the building. Some of our folks that listen to the show have tweeted and said that they sang the na 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 na. Yeah, they sang that night at the show as he left.
Yeah. Well, and some of those were well-wishers, like looking forward maybe to him going to another company, and some of them were just saying, beat it.
Beat it, pal. Yeah.
It could have had a multi-meaning to it, singing him out of the building. Who knows?
They sang him out of the building, but for you, Barry, and Ric Flair, this marked the beginning of the end for the group as the promotion started to downplay the importance of the Four Horsemen as a faction, the larger role the group played for WCW. In addition, the booking committee at this time, Arn, they began starting to separate you guys out. You, Barry, and Flair, not having the three of you working exclusively together and intentionally having you in particular, they wanted you to work with some other heels. And sometimes, and we're going to start to talk about it here, the booking got a little bit confusing. And I'm going to touch on an example right off the bat here this week. You tagged with the one-man gang, who we saw attack Elegante at the end of the Super Brawl match with Sid. And you and the one-man gang worked against the Steiner brothers for the tag team championships here in June. And it's in Norfolk, Virginia at the Scope. And on June 6th, you and Gang lost the tag team match when Scott Steiner pinned you. Arn, listen to this crowd. 900 total in Norfolk. And then the following day in Baltimore, a tiny crowd of 1,400 watched you and the one-man gang challenge the Steiners in the main event. And you guys would lose this one, no DQ match, when Scott pinned you again. And after the match, one-man gang and Kevin Sullivan attacked you and left you laying. But don't worry, Arn, because on June 8th in Philadelphia at the Civic Center, 1,000 fans, that's right, 1,000 fans, saw you and the gang tag together in a losing effort to the Steiner brothers. So I have a few questions for you here on this. I laid all that out because, first, what in the world's happening here in WCW where the attendance was so low? I mean, we're talking Philadelphia, we're talking Baltimore. These are strongholds with deep roots for Jim Crockett and WCW.
And we were the main event.
Yeah, and you're in the main event.
One-man gang and myself.
Yes.
The only thing that I can figure when you come up with that type, there's no history, there's no setup, there's no
story.
Backstory, yeah. Absolutely not. It's like you're just booking names against names, and that will not do it. Without an angle, without a reason to have a match, that just feels like somebody, pin the tail on the donkey, put on the blindfold, throw a dart, whoever it lands on, that's who you book. Because there's no rational reason to come up with that tag match. I don't know how and where and why.
And then you got to look at the booking that we just talked about, too, because obviously we know social media didn't exist at the time. The dirt sheets are alive and well at this point. But again, you don't have that instant feedback of shows and what's happening. So I don't understand the benefit of having the gang attack you following the Baltimore show only to team up with you the following day as if it never happened. I mean, I just don't understand the rationale here.
I know this is going to sound like a cop-out, but I'm just going to tell you the truth like I always do. I'll being a loyal soldier, it wouldn't have mattered what they wrote down for me to do. Remember where I just came from. Remember the circumstances which I left. Even though there were some matches that I'm being booked in at this point that make no sense, I was just thankful to be there. I really was, because the less days booked, the schedule not being nearly as long. My job was to show up every day, strap on my boots, and wrestle whoever they wrote my name against.
Yeah.
And that's the way I looked at the business. Today, if I went to work tomorrow for AEW, whatever they had for me, that's what I would do, and I would make it the best I could. Same thing with what was going on at this time. It wasn't my job to go, hey, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense. People are paying me. It's there every 2 weeks. I'm getting exposure on the strongest television on earth at, TBS. It is what it is.
Looking back at it now, Arn, do you have any regrets, or are you still, hey, I'm glad because I had an airtight paycheck. They took care of me, and I'm glad I didn't rock the boat, even if I did have some questions in my mind with the booking.
I was going to be there and ride out that 3 years, my friend. That gave, like I said, it gives you a peace of mind because it was ironclad. There was not a situation where they went, well, hey, we didn't send you a check this week because you didn't work for the past 14 days. Nothing like that ever happened. It was clockwork. And at that point, I was a point in my career. I had already had one scare with my neck. I knew that I wasn't, 25 again. It was just one of those situations that just accept what they deal you, the cards they deal you. There was two companies at that time to make a good living for your family, and that was one of them. And I just left the other one, so do the math.
It's interesting because that's a very similar perspective that Tony Schiavone gives as well. He was up north for about a year, in 1989 in WWF, and when he came back, it was that good soldier mentality. I'm going to be a good soldier. I just did what they needed me to do. And I don't want to say a yes man, but it was similar to, if this is the direction that we're going to go, then I'm going to be on board and I'm going to do my job and do what they ask of me. And so it's interesting to hear there was a lot of folks at this time in WCW that kind of had that mentality.
Yeah, it's the only one to have.
Yeah.